Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. May I now request Mrs. Hena Nafis to give us, to tell us a few words and.
Good evening to everyone. I think I've already started speaking. Well, I'm a consultant nutritionist from Calcutta, and I write for the Telegraph over there. And I've been seeing patients for the last 12 years, basically. And during the course of consulting, I started seeing a lot of children coming to my place. And a lot of parents came, look at my child, he's becoming so fat, I want the child to lose weight. Well, diet and dietitians are two things which most people don't like to meet or hear about, isn't it? We are the food police. Nobody wants to be told, don't do this, don't do that. We are seen like that. I mean, going to a dietitian means khana band. Everything is over. Life is over. So it was a big challenge to actually make children eat healthy, or make them thin rather. So what I realized was, because I'm myself not a very rigid person. I believe in inclusive diet than exclusive diet. I don't believe in no's. I believe more in yes. Eating smart is what we need to do rather than not eating. Because all of us know that we like to eat certain things. Being a dietitian, I have my own weaknesses and preferences, which are not good. Because I was not born a nutritionist. I was born human first. So that's what happens when children used to come to me. I realized that being on a diet was a very tough thing. You know, how can you tell a child, don't do this? You know, the moment you say don't, it becomes a yes. It becomes a do for them. And I saw this practically in my own clinic. There's a child from a very affluent family in Calcutta who was caught stealing in school because he was restricted from eating certain things at home. He was caught with 80 wrappers of chocolate which he had in one night. You know, just because of the kind of restriction which he was imposed upon. So when, you know, the rigidity which we impose on people, or especially on children, you know, it's counterproductive and it's very, very negative. As what I said, you know, we see extremes of people today. We see either health fanatics, or we see people who are like complete junkies. We don't see real people. We don't see, everybody knows everything basically, because with the advent of the internet, you know, everybody knows. Nobody knows to, you know, everybody knows I know what to do. You don't have to tell me that. People come to a clinical person just to tell the person that, oh, I know. I mean, that's what I realized, that everyone wants to just show you that I know everything. So when you know why you here is, sometimes I ask them. Because, you know, as an expert, there is a scientific process of doing things. So when I started seeing so many children in my clinic, what I realized and what struck me was most children are like mini adults now. You know, they're fat, but they're not like podgy or like plump. They have a structure of an adult. They wear clothes like adults also. Nowadays, in the way the children dress up. And they have a paunch. The abdominal adiposity, it's not the number of kgs which matters. Weight is just a number. It's the amount of fat which we carry in our body is what matters. God has not made us all alike, that everyone with the same height will have the same weight. We all different in our weight. Genetics play a very important role. We can't negate that. So what I realized was that these children, they had, you know, huge bellies. They are just like adults. And looking at the abdominal adiposity, I became very curious, and I started asking the parents to go, you know, to do some investigations on them, you know, biochemical investigations. And many times parents would say, oh, why are you asking us to do blood tests? I just want my child to just, you know, learn little few things from you. And I said, well, I want to see something. If you want your child to be cured, you know, I need to do something about it. And more often than not, most of these children, and believe me, I'm talking about 9-year, 10-year-olds, who came back with very high levels of cholesterol, you know, many of them were pre-diabetic, okay, and many of them had liver, you know, very high altered enzymes in the, you know. So that was something that was very, very alarming. And I realized that, you know, how can one actually change these children's lives? And that's when I thought of a lifestyle modification center for children, which was just not about diet, But fitness, diet, talk to them about the screen time, how much TV, how much iPads, how much do they do of that, and how stressed they are. Because many a times what children eat is also because of the way they think. They get bored, they don't know what to do, so then they start eating. It's a very vicious cycle, you eat, and then, you become fat, and when you become fat, you're just sitting, and because you have such low self-esteem that, you're so stressed out all the time, people are telling you don't eat, don't do this, don't do that. And then because of that, they get more stressed and they eat more. So they never come out of this vicious cycle. So we needed a platform where we could actually help these children just alter their lifestyles in a fun, interactive way where it was not daunting upon them. So that's why I stopped giving diet charts to children. What I devised was a model where I bought in fitness equipments from the US, which are youth fitness equipment. Now many people would have reservations of fitness equipment being used on children because a lot of people believe gym is not safe. Gym is not good for children. But these machines have been designed exclusively for children. They have been customized for children because, as you know, today's children are very demanding. They don't want to go out and play. They want fancy things. And these equipments which I got from the US, is being used in most US schools. So they're extremely safe for children. So, because to bring in that fun element, because they hear their mom or the dad or the grandparents also going to the gym and they want to go there too. And then coming to the nutrition aspect, I thought of setting small goals for them rather than giving them diet charts. So we set them healthy goals and junk food goals, so that they don't find it overwhelming. And we slowly educate them and make them aware of why they need to do what they need to do. So that's how this whole idea of Nutrience Kids Fitness Studio erupted in my head in Calcutta, and I started one. And coincidentally, I met Manisha when she came to me with her son once, and she started talking about her passion for children and health. And that's when I told her, why don't you have one in Chennai? So that's how this iSpark and Nutrience Kids Fitness Studio came in together, to help children in Chennai lead a better life and to secure the life of children, because believe it or not, it's going to be a huge public health disaster if we don't do anything about it. I've done surveys in schools in Calcutta where I found 30% of children in a class are obese and about 25% are overweight. So that's more than half of children in one class who are not normal weight. And I'm not just talking about weight. We have measured fat percentage in children because it's the fat which makes you unhealthy. It's not about being overweight. It's about being overfat. It's a misnomer. The word overweight is a misnomer. What we need to see is how much fat you have in your body. When we accept a height, if I'm 5'3", even if I'm not happy with it, I still accept it. So the same way we have to accept our structure. Everybody can't be, very petite. Everyone can't be very broad. So structures can't change, but your amount of fat and muscle in the body is definitely something which we can work with. And as I said, abdominal adiposity is a huge problem. Abdominal adiposity means fat on your visceral organ, which means your liver, your gallbladder, ovaries. You must be hearing a lot of young girls getting ovarian, polycystic ovarian disease nowadays. This is so much common, very, very common. And these are all lifestyle issues. Like in 1950s and 60s, with the advent of antibiotics, things like cholera and, all these infectious diseases, they became, an old word. Something which nobody really thinks of anymore. But all that we are plagued with today is lifestyle disorders. And believe me, once you get it, you can't cure it. You can only manage it. So that's why I thought it's really important to have an avenue for children where they do realize the importance of these things. Because, see, when we were growing up, birthday parties were like birthday parties, There would be chips, there would be samosas, there would be a sandwich made at home. But today, birthday parties are like carnivals. They are huge events. You want to outdo the other person's birthday party, isn't it? Mine was the best. And in doing so, we create so much of paraphernalia where the child, it's all lost. The fun of a birthday party is all gone. Somebody else is doing the birthday party, not you as a mother. And then, there's so much food. And believe me, when you go to birthday parties, you will see children eating so much. When we were kids, we were scolded that, you don't eat. And, I remember when a lot of you must be holding, any party or dinner at home, you won't ever count, children as a head, that we are going to have so many people at home. Today we need to count the number of children who come home because they can outdo people when they eat. So that is what the problem is. We have to kind of inculcate the right eating habits, right lifestyles in children. And many a times it's a manifestation of stress which these children go through, because there are more nuclear families, parents don't have time. Even in school, there's so much competition. Every child needs to be perfect in everything. Should pick up all the different skills possible. Has to be good in language, good in sports, good in maths, good in science. So what you want from a child is 10 on 10. You will not accept a 6 or a 7. So this kind of burden is also manifesting on food. And as I said, if we don't, arrest this kind of social change which we are seeing, and it's going to be a huge public health problem for us in India. So in a country like India, where at one end you have so much food insecurity, you have so much, so much abundance of food in some cases. So bridging this gap, as I kept on saying, it's about striking a balance, it's about moderation. We have to bridge these gaps. I believe, somebody should start an NGO where people would, kind of donate, the amount of money they would spend out for a dinner every, once a week, what they spend for a dinner. Maybe that could go into feeding some other kids who don't get anything. Believe me, the same children, they get cakes and pastries, nothing is going to happen to them. But because our children eat too much of cakes and pastries, or too much of chips, everything is too much. People complain when they come to me as patients that, oh, my servant at home eats pound of rice, and look at him, look at me. I don't eat a thing and I'm so fat. Well, look at the amount of work he does. One small little, barfi or laddu is equal to so much of rice. So you have it in a calorie-dense form, and that person just, eats, the volume is more. So that's what we tell people, eat, nutrient-dense food and not eat calorie-dense food. So there are a lot of small things which we need to look at. We actually, forget the smaller picture. We always want to look at big things. I mean, I had a patient who was, going for stomach problems all over the world, trying to seek, remedy for a problem. But a problem was as simple as constipation, which she was not trying to treat. So there are small things which we ignore in today's time, especially with our children also. So our children have the same problems as the adults have. I have seen cholesterol problems, I've seen pre-diabetes, I've seen liver issues, I've seen children with piles, I've seen all kinds of problems, there in children. And sometimes drugs have not helped because it's not a problem related to drug. Drug can only alleviate the symptom. It can't cure the problem. So we have to get to the root and to the bottom of the problem to, help our children lead healthier and better lives. And that's where this whole idea of Nutrience Kids Fitness Studio began. And I'm very happy to see all of you at the launch of, our center here in Chennai. Thank you so much for coming.